All right, hi everybody. Welcome if you're watching the replay. Welcome if you're here with me live. It's Motivational Monday, June 8th. And today I'm just going to give you a couple kind of 1 minute wellness micro habits or little things that you can start to work into your day. So, as always, grab your glass of water. As always, check in. If you're watching the replay, check in underneath in the Facebook group or check in with yourself. We've already got some stuff in the chat. Just came in from mowing the grass, says Nancy. I just came in from gardening. It was my first time, when you have so much dirt under your fingernails, you gotta really scrub them with a brush to get all that dirt out from under your fingernails. Good dirt, the soil. So I just planted kale and lettuce and some fun petunias. So I was just out in my garden. Hi, Vicki. Welcome. We're just doing our check-in. How's everybody feeling? So I'm going to give myself an 8 out of 10. It wasn't as warm as I thought it would be. All right. So today, I want to talk about a little bit about micro habits, a little bit about 1 minute things you can do to kind of create 10 1 minute breaks throughout your day. So my quote today is, everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, even you. When your internet's not working, you just unplug it, or you turn your phone off and turn it back on to see if it'll work. So I kind of, it's a little tongue in cheek, but I really do like that quote. Because we need to unplug ourselves in many different ways, right? Not just in, rest way or sleep ways. We need to unplug ourselves. And we can do that with 1 minute breaks, which is what I want to talk to you about. We've got love that quote. We've got a 6 stressed in the chat box. So we're kind of a mixed bag, which is good. So the power of 1 minute. There's been so much research done recently, and I know you've heard me say it before, so this is just reminders that even just taking 1 minute for self-care, if you do it throughout the day, little 1 minute breaks, 60 seconds to 90 seconds, can actually make a change in your brain and your body. And the most important thing is to be consistent, persistent, and repetitive about it. So for example, there's a study out there. There's a few of them actually that say 60 seconds of mindfulness. So just letting your brain focus on one thing can decrease stress immediately, lower your blood pressure immediately, control pain, improve sleep. Just 1 minute of practicing mindfulness. 1 minute of practicing balance. Think about this. How often do you practice balance, right? If you just practice balance on one leg for 1 minute a day, your posture would improve, your core strength would improve, your overall functionality of your body would improve, and guess what else would? Your confidence, because you would trust your body to not trip and fall as much, right? Now, this is what I do, right? You all know that I jump in the lake and jump out, but 1 minute of a cold shower. If you were in your shower in just the last minute, I know Velia likes to do this, we talk about it. If you're in the shower and just for the last minute, you turn it to cold, it improves your circulation, it reduces muscle soreness and inflammation, and also increases your confidence, right? Because you're like, I'm going to stand in the cold water, I can do it, I'm capable, and you do it, right? So you've heard me say this before too, small and slow solutions. Small and slow solutions. So today I'm really going to talk about small solutions that take time, so they're slow, but they add up over time. And that's the idea of micro habits, which I don't have a slide for, but there's been tons of studies about if you do something that's 1 to 5 minutes as a habit, and you do it 5 or 6 or 7 times throughout the day, even different ones, you're filtering in healthy habits, you're sprinkling them more evenly throughout your day, they actually have a bigger benefit to you than if you spent just 20 minutes in the morning doing all of your good habits. Because your brain will forget. Your brain needs to be consistently reminded to be healthy and make healthy decisions, whether it's physical, emotional, financial, intellectual, whatever it is. Your brain forgets. If you just do one big chunk, that's it, of self-care in the morning, or in the evening or whatever it is, the rest of the time your brain will go back to those stress habits or those relationship patterns. So if we're consistently and persistently feeding ourselves small, digestible pieces throughout the day of 1 minute, just 1 minute, it actually has been proven in many studies to be more beneficial than spending 40 minutes at a time. So today I wanted to give you some 1 minute ideas. So I want you to think about this. 5 minutes a day. If you took 5 minutes a day, if you did 5 different healthy self-care things throughout the day, 5 1-minutes throughout the day, that's 35 minutes a week, 150 minutes a month, and it's 30 hours a year. If you did 10 minutes a day, that's 70 minutes of self-care a week. That's 300 minutes a month of self-care. That's 61 hours a year. We've got make a segment on this. I struggle with that too. Okay. All right. So this is what I'm calling self-care minutes. All right. Self-care minutes. And I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas. So as I'm going through this, if you have a pen and paper, I want you to write down what really, as we're going through it, so you don't forget, what sounds like a great idea to you as I'm going through my kind of 10 different ways that you can put 1 minute into your day. So get a piece of paper. I want you to write this down. Why? Because when you write things down, you're more likely to remember them. And also when you write things down, you're almost making a commitment to your brain that says, I'm writing this down, so I'm making it real. I'm not thinking about it in my head. I'm making it real. I'm going to write it on a tangible piece of paper. And then by the end of today, you're going to have a list of some 1 minute things that you can do. So grab a piece of paper, and I'm going to go into a couple 1 minute things you can do. So fitness is the obvious one, right? We can throw in 1 minute pieces of fitness. That's obvious. It could be cardio, it could be strength, it could be balance. Fitness, even just doing 1 minute gives us dopamine, gives us serotonin, gives us happiness, gives us confidence, right? So here's some ideas. Do 50 jumping jacks. That would be about a minute because it probably takes just a little bit over a second to do a jumping jack. Or any cardio movement. So it could be punches, it could be kicks, it could be shuffle jumps, it could be just jumping on the spot or jumping on a trampoline, it could be jumping for a minute with a skipping rope, it could be skipping. There's tons of low impact cardio moves that you can do too. It could be high knee marching, right? So you could either put a timer on for a minute or just count out 50 of them, and that's it. You could also do just 1 minute of a strength exercise, and maybe you do a strength exercise in the morning and a strength exercise in the afternoon. Maybe you do 1 minute of bicep curls, and then later in the afternoon you do 1 minute of squats, right? I want you to remember this. Any movement is better than no movement. So that 1 minute, it really counts. And imagine if you did that every day. You did 1 minute of strength in the morning and 1 minute of strength in the afternoon every day. And each day you kind of chose a different thing. Maybe you did biceps and squats on Monday. Maybe on Tuesday you do some lunges and maybe some plank or some wall push-ups. That's a lot of movement, right? Back to, our minutes, right? 5 minutes a day is 30 hours a year of movement, or 150 a month. That's pretty great. So fitness is pretty easy. If any ideas are coming up for you, throw them in the chat box too, because I'm curious. So let's say we do 1 minute of fitness a day. It could be cardio, it could be muscle, it could be balance, it could be standing on one foot, it could be coming up on your tippy toes and touching your nose, which is a balance exercise. Fitness is pretty easy. Now, biomechanical training. And for those of you that are members, I've been working this into our Fitness in 15 classes. Biomechanical training is working on things like posture or alignment, because our bodies change as we age. So there's small movements to improve posture, skeletal positioning, muscles engagement. You're basically telling your nerves that tell your muscles to contract, that tell your bones where to be. You're retraining them. So it's biomechanical training to have better posture or better alignment. So something that we've been working on in Fitness in 15 classes is the position of our pelvis, of our hip joints. So you can see in this picture, here's a hip joint that's in the right position on the left, and in the middle, this is a hip joint that's tilted forward, so you can kind of see where the tailbone is and how that affects the spine, makes it into an S. Or here's hip joints that are tilted back, and you can see what that makes a C in the spine, right? So the way that you can kind of tell is bum shape or belly shape, right? So we've been working on some things. So I'm going to show you really quickly, and you can write them down now, just some things you can do for 1 minute that's biomechanical reprogramming for your brain. So if you want, come stand up with me. So you can kind of feel these if you want. One is putting your hands on your hips and checking to see. Now, I know that I have a forward hip, so I can just move my hips back. I'm just going to move them back and squeeze my bum. And then I'm going to hold that for about a minute. So I'm going to move them back and squeeze my bum. Now, if I move forward, I'm going to move them into the center, hold them there, and stick my chest out. Notice how your posture changes. Whether your hips are tilted, whether your hips are tilted this way or tilted this way. You can actually move them, right? Okay, so if you discover you have a forward tilted pelvis, you want to focus on squeezing your bum. So you can just squeeze your bum. You can actually stand here and squeeze your bum. Okay, you also want to stretch here. So you might just want to hold your hands above your head and stretch in here. Okay, another good biomechanical programming that we have, I should have worn this red shirt, my camera doesn't like it. You can literally just sit on your chair and squeeze your bum. So you need to strengthen your glute muscles to help support your hips to be in the right place. So you can sit on a chair and say, for a minute, I'm going to make myself an inch taller just by squeezing my bum. Put a timer on. Or again, you can count it. You could say, I'm going to do 50 bum squeezes. I know, okay? Another one for posture for shoulders is a biomechanical training. And again, we do this in every warm-up in every fitness class, right? I want you to slouch, then I want you to come up tall, and I want you to bring your shoulders up, back, down, squeeze. Do that for a minute every day, and your posture will get better. Up, back, down in their pockets, squeeze your elbows together so you feel like you're squeezing a lemon in between your shoulder blades. Up, back, down, squeeze. Up, back, down, squeeze. Another one you can do for a minute, I call them butterflies to strengthen that upper back and help your posture. You just squeeze back. And again, you can count 50 or 60 of them. There's a minute right there. Okay, so that's some biomechanical reprogramming. But the key thing with biomechanical reprogramming, everybody, consistent, persistent, repetitive, and it's low weight, so you're not holding any weights, and it's high volume. Okay? And I'm going to keep working in more biomechanical reprogramming into our fitness classes. Okay? Another one is when you're walking, just for a minute, I want you to make sure you're landing on your heel and pushing off with your big toe. Because a lot of the times we stop using our toes properly. So you literally just for a minute go, while you're walking out on a walk, just say to yourself, heel, toe, because often as we age, we forget to push off of our big toes, especially if we're getting things like bunions, right? Bunions on our big toes, and then our brain and our nervous system makes us stop pushing off our big toe, and then that helps our that offsets our knees and our hips, right? Lots of things happen with our toes, right? And our heels. If you get plantar fasciitis, you shy away from using your heel and you might not even notice. So that's another really good biomechanical training you can do for a minute, right? You can do for a minute. Okay. Some of these are going to be obvious, right? Nature. Just get out in nature for a minute. Now, if you don't have nature, say you live downtown in a big city and it's all concrete boxes, just look at a houseplant. Touch its leaves. Smell it. Have a houseplant in your plant, in your apartment. Okay? So being in nature, experiencing it through the senses, so touch, smell, sight, okay, sound, I'm doing a 7-house plant here. I'm right beside my computer. You can make the leaves move, okay? Just studies again show just 1 minute in nature increases our endorphins and dopamine levels. It grounds us. It restores our capacity for concentration and focus. It reduces cortisol and it reduces anxiety and stress. Sometimes it can even just be, even if you live downtown, in a big city, just open the window and smell the air outside, because the air outside is different from the air inside. That's a minute right there. Super easy. We've got the biomechanical training and fitness classes is killing me, says Vicky, but it's a good thing, right, Vicky? Because your body is going, oh, I need to strengthen those tiny muscles. I need better posture. All right, reading. Here's the thing. You're probably going, I'm going to read for more than a minute. Yeah, you are. But if you say to yourself, I'm going to read for a minute, you're going to end up reading longer. So that might end up being a 5-minute break or a 10-minute or even longer if you're not a reader. You just have to tell yourself to do the minute, right? Studies have shown that reading increases blood flow to the part of our brain responsible for cognitive function. And I'm going to say this too, you know what I'm going to say? It's better to read from a book than it is off of the screen, because the blue light coming off of the screen is affecting our brain in a different way. And again, when you read from a book or a magazine, there's a whole experience with your senses, the feel of the pages between your fingers when you flip them, the sound of the pages, the smell of the book, the weight of the book, holding it in your hand, right? So you've got smell, you've got taste, you've got sound, you've got sight, you're using a lot of the senses, okay? And reading also improves focus and concentration, improves our memory. And studies have also shown that if you do a reading session, this study was for a half an hour reading session, the benefits of that half an hour reading session, so increased blood flow to the brain, focus and concentration, those benefits, it's called a shadow effect, will stay with you for 5 days afterwards. That increased blood flow to the brain will stay for five days. The improved focus and concentration will stay with you. Okay, deep breathing. You can do this for a minute, but here's the key. As somebody to, right? You need to breathe with purpose. And the only thing you need to know about deep breathing is you want to breathe out longer than you breathe in. So put your feet flat on the floor for me right now. We're just going to breathe in for a count of 3 and breathe out for a count of 5. That's it. And I want you to notice, what's your posture like right now before we start? How do you feel in your body or in your mind? We're going to breathe in through our nose for a count of 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And breathe out. 3, 4, 5. Did your shoulders drop? Breathing in that long, did you maybe smell smells in your room that you don't normally smell because the breath had to come, the air had to come all the way up your nostrils, right? So that's the only thing. So can you do that for a minute? Yeah. Add in the hand motion if you like. I love breathing like this, right? Add that in. Go out, you can have it stop. Go outside for a minute and do some deep breathing for a minute. Okay, so what are we at? I think we're at 4 things now, 5 things now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at 5 things, right? So I want to give you, I think I've given you 10 things here, so you get 10 minutes a day. Okay. Journaling. Now, I'm curious, let me know in the chat box, do you journal? I'm also not a big journal, but this is how I've learned to journal, okay? Because sometimes you think the journaling has to be like, remember when you had a diary and you were a kid? And there's different ways to journal. So there's journaling where it's an agenda and you're kind of, at the end of the day, writing down everything that happened to you. So it's kind of like you're keeping an archive of your life, which is kind of what we did with Dear Diary when we were kids, right? But studies show that journaling that way can be helpful because you can go back and look at your memories and re-feel feelings. But if we want a journal to connect more to ourselves and connect more to inspiration, find breakthrough moments, we want to journal and maybe ask ourselves some difficult questions, or maybe also you can just journal bullet points on your feelings, okay? It doesn't have to be the way we kind of learned as kids where we're archiving our life. It could be one sentence. It could be bullet points. It doesn't have to be full sentences or paragraphs. It could be some words and some pictures that you draw. If you're like, I just can't explain this in words, so I'm going to draw a picture for this, okay? But when we journal in a way that isn't just archiving our life and just like re-saying what our day has been, we improve our relationship to ourselves, we boost our confidence. Also, it improves our memory. It improves our communication skills because we're actually learning how to communicate with ourselves, right? And we find inspiration and breakthrough moments. So just bullet points to start if you're not a journaler. Set a timer for a minute. There's no judgment. Nobody's going to read it. It's just for you, right? Well, interesting. We've got the bullet points don't go anywhere for me. So this is what I'm going to say. If that's the case, I've got some journaling prompts for you. So if you have your pen and paper out, I want you to write them down. Some of these are questions that you are going to immediately shy away from and say, I don't want to answer that because it's scary. But that's the point, okay? We want to challenge ourselves to think deeper. Some of these are going to be fun, but you want to start with journaling prompts. Now, if you're a member of Club Recreo, we have our emotional wellness digital download library. There already is a sheet there of some journaling prompts, but I'm going to put up another download sheet for you in there with more journaling prompts that are a little bit deeper. The other thing is, when I'm going to show this next page, if the journaling prompts you go, whoa, that's a hard question, that's what one-on-one work with me is like. We can talk about that question together, or you can journal it and share it with me, and we can go through it and figure out what it means. Okay, are you ready? So journaling with journaling prompts. My first favorite one is checking in on your emotional needs. Now, again, if you're a member of Club Recreo and the Emotional Needs Library, this poster is in there, right? So it's 6 questions to check in on your 6 basic emotional needs, and they all need to be met. They don't need to be met evenly, but you need to meet them. If you're not meeting one at all, you're going to feel off. You're going to feel out of balance. You're going to feel disconnected. So the emotional needs, certainty. Ask yourself what makes you feel safe. Who makes you feel safe? What makes you feel safe? Variety. What have I done lately that's fun or different or challenging? Growth. Growth is specifically about challenge. What have I done to intellectually challenge myself, to physically challenge myself, to socially challenge myself? Significance. What or who makes me feel important, makes me feel heard, makes me feel seen, makes me feel understood? Love. What or who makes me feel loved? Or have I given attention to what I love lately? And then the last one's contribution. What acts of kindness have I done lately? Check in on them and journal and write it down. Okay, now here's my big questions. These are the ones that I'm curious, immediately your brain might go, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. You're going to feel resistance, and that's okay. They're supposed to be challenges, and you're going to learn about yourself. All right, and then I've got some other ones at the bottom. So what boundaries do I never enforce and why? You're going to learn a lot about yourself when you answer that one. What praise did I not get as a child that I'm looking for now? You're going to learn a lot about yourself from that one. When did I start believing that my needs aren't valid? You're going to learn a lot about yourself from that one. What am I holding on to that is hurting me more than helping me? Okay, those are the hard questions, all right? I wanted to give you an idea. You can take one question and you can really learn a lot about yourself. I have another one that I kind of like that I was going to put up. It's, what am I ignoring that isn't true? All right? And remember, I want you to journal without pressure. You're just journaling to find information about yourself. That's it. And when you do that, you're giving yourself stress relief immediately, because guess what? You're telling yourself that you're hearing yourself, that you're seeing yourself, you're validating yourself. Okay, other things you can journal about is, if you journal in the morning, today I'm going to choose what I can control, and that is, and then you put some bullets. I can control this, 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 and this. What would the best version of me want to do today? Bullet points, this, 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 and this. I'm going to commit to one bold action towards my dream or my goal today, and that is bullet point, this. I am proud of myself for bullet points, this, this, and this. Okay? If you like this idea of journaling prompts, let me know, because I can post some in the Facebook group. And for those of you that are members, I can create some more, and I can actually do a whole brain fitness class or a letting go Friday, and we can talk about journaling and journaling prompts as well. So let me know. Okay, so that was number 6 and 7. Mindfulness, that's another minute that we can do. All right, we know mindfulness improves our relationship to ourselves, increases feelings of satisfaction, encourages creativity, intuition. It heals our telomeres. Literally, mindfulness tells our DNA strands, the caps on our DNA strands, to heal themselves. And as we age, those caps shorten, and that's what tells our cells to regenerate slower, and that's what tells us to age. So literally, mindfulness is anti-aging. So what are options for 1-minute breaks for mindfulness? Of course, you can come to Letting Go class and you can learn all about mindfulness every Friday inside the membership, but you can doodle. You can do connect to the midline, which is a brain fitness exercise where you hold your hands together like this and you very slowly bring them together. And you cross them, bring them to your heart, big breath in, big breath out. Mindfulness is not making your mind quiet for long periods of time. Mindfulness is focusing on one thing. And you can do that for a minute. You can doodle for a minute. You can do a brain fitness exercise movement for a minute. You could play rock, paper, scissors with someone for a minute, and trust me, you are only thinking about, am I going to do a rock, a paper, or a scissor? Okay? Mindfulness is just being completely focused and in flow on one thing. All right? And again, studies show that if you do it just for 60 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds, you're going to get benefits. I think this is number 8 or number 9. Okay, I thought I had 10 things. Okay, I think that was number 9. Okay, so here's my question. What else could you do for 1 minute a day that is self-care? What else could you do, right? Let me know in the chat box. I'm curious, did anything come up for you? Or for checkout today, let me know what ideas you can do to make 10 1-minute breaks, or maybe even start with 5 1-minute breaks throughout the day. You're not going to do them in a row because you want to be consistently feeding your brain self-care. It's called micro-habiting. Okay? So look down on that piece of paper that I asked you to start writing things down. What did you write down that sounded fun to you, challenging to you, or that I can easily do? Okay? We've got I like the prompts. Quotes are good for journaling sometimes too. Yeah, you read a really good quote and then write down how you feel about it. That's a great idea. I love that. Yeah. We've also got today resonated with me. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. I bought some blank bookmarks to watercolor paint and doodle on. Yeah, so you could just take a minute, right? And that's the really cool thing about doodles. Let me see if I can find any of my doodles in here. I will start a doodle at my desk and I'll just do a minute of it and I'll come back to it. So for example, this doodle took me a couple days. So I started with it and then I colored in, or this doodle, for example, right, with all the circles around it. I drew this first one day and then it took me like 2 weeks so I would just take a minute and draw circles for a minute. And eventually I filled the page and you get something beautiful, right? And if you're watching this replay and you're not a member and you're going, what is doodling? We do doodling about once a month inside our brain fitness class, and we learn different patterns and different ways to doodle, and I walk you through how to do it. Okay, we've got this idea too. Just sit down and tell yourself not to feel guilty. I love that one. Just a minute of quiet. That's right, I love it. A minute of quiet is great. So I want you to start thinking about those 1 minute pieces, right? So we've got physical movement, we've got mindfulness, we've got nature, we've got biomechanical training, also known as physiotherapy. Here's the thing. Anybody ever gone to physiotherapy and you're supposed to do all these things and then you never do it, right? Or you do it, just do 1 minute of one physiotherapy move that you're supposed to be doing. That's your biomechanical training, right? We've got our journaling, we've got doodling, we've got breathing, we've got immersing ourselves in nature in different ways, either outside or a houseplant, or maybe that 1 minute a day, literally buy yourself a houseplant so you will interact with it 1 minute a day where you have to water it, or check its soil, or pick off the dead leaves, just for 1 minute a day, right? So I want you to really think about how easy and naturally we can work in moments of self-care, and the science is backing it up. 60 seconds to 90 seconds at a time is actually more impactful than those big chunks, all right? So you can let me know and check out how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 if you want. I'm going to remind you how the minutes add up while you're doing that, or what you're feeling really motivated about. So reminder, if you did 5 1-minute pieces throughout the day, that's 35 minutes a week of self-care. That's 150 minutes a month of self-care. That's 30 hours a year. If you do 10 minutes a day throughout your day, it's 70 minutes a week, 300 minutes a month, 61 hours a year. We can easily do this, and we can easily get motivated. You just have to start to take action, everybody. All right, thank you for joining me. If you're watching the replay, thank you for joining me too, and I hope you go do something that takes you 1 minute after this that feels really great and feels like you are looking after yourself and filling your cup to overflowing. Okay, what do we have? We've got your tip of squishing your rings. Remembering when you were strong. These kinds of things. Yeah, that's right. I think that's what you meant by, right? So even doing this and just focusing on this is mindfulness, because you're not thinking about anything else, or focusing on, I'm going to doodle this finger and doodle this finger, then twiddle this finger, right? Yeah, right? And it all adds up. Every time you do it, you're telling your brain that you can trust yourself and that you're stronger. Every single time you're feeding your brain. Consistent, persistent repetition. Every time you tell yourself you're going to do something and you do it, you're giving your brain evidence, proof, and you're training your brain so you can trust yourself to be healthier. Science backs it up, everyone. So you got this.